Good morning and welcome to the Landore Resources Limited investor presentation. Throughout this recorded presentation, investors will be in listen-only mode. Questions are encouraged and can be submitted at any time by the Q&A tab situated in the right-hand corner of your screen. Just simply type in your questions and press send. The company may not be in a position to answer every question it receives during the meeting itself. However, the company can review all the questions submitted today and publish responses where it is appropriate to do so. Before we begin, I'd like to submit the following poll. And I'd now like to hand you over to Alexander Shaw, CEO. Good morning to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Alessandra. Good morning to everybody. I'd like to thank you all for taking time out to attend. And obviously, Glenn Featherby and I are very happy to be here and answer your questions and give you an update on the corporate situation with Landore Resources. So we prepared a short corporate presentation just to run through where we sit right now. So just click through. So obviously, very importantly, the disclaimer. So we will obviously endeavour to not have any forward-looking statements, etc., and abide by all the AIM rules. So just a quick outline of what we want to talk about. So general introduction, where we sit right now, outline of the strategy, and then take some questions from the attendees. So obviously everybody knows Landore and where we sit right now. So we obviously have a fantastic portfolio of projects. In Canada, we have Junior Lake, Lazard, and Sealy Lake, and we have the option agreement with Storm on Minamiska. In the US, we have 8 greenfields exploration projects in Nevada. So as of 12th of June, we did a fundraise and raised the £3.68 million. And as a result of that, I joined as the CEO, and as part of the, let's say, restructuring and improvement, I'm bringing on some additional technical members into the team. So there was a addition to the shareholder registry of Luso Global Mining, who I represent. I'm the CEO of Luso Global Mining, which is the mining investment and development division of the Motor Angel Group. A lot of people don't know Motor Angel, but Motor Angel is a significant EPC and civil engineering and mining contracting firm based in Portugal, which has approximately a 5.5 billion euro turnover a year, with a significant mining contracting business in Africa and EPC mining business in Latin America. In addition to us coming on board, Eric Sprott increased his position in the company. Rick Rule, who also is a significant investor in junior mining and is very well regarded within the mining sector, came in as a 10% shareholder. And we have, in addition, we have the Arconis International Group out of Spain, which has had a significant shareholding in the company for some time now. So in addition to that, a number of the management and former management still have significant ownership in the company. So Bill Humphries, who was the former CEO and chairman and founder of the company, along with Glenn Featherby, have significant holdings. I subscribe myself, along with a number of other individuals within the Luso Global Mining organization, and also included Manuel Mota, who's the chairman of Luso Global Mining. So we have a significant amount of support from individuals. So our current market cap is approximately £10 million as of Friday, and we have approximately 312 million shares on issue. Glenn, I don't know if you wanted to add anything to.
No, that's fine, Alex.
So the board and the management hasn't changed. I came on as CEO as of 17th of June, and I joined as a director of the company as of the AGM. So my background, as I say, I head up Luso Global Mining's mining, which is the investment division of Motor Angel Group. I'm a geologist by profession. I have 20 odd years of commercial mining and exploration experience. I have a PhD in geochemistry from the University of Oxford. So I saw the opportunity in Landore, and I was very enthusiastic about, what we could make of this project. So I bring project experience from building a number of mines and also completing successful exploration programs throughout Africa, throughout Europe and Asia Minor, and also Latin America. I worked extensively in Central African Copper Belt, in West Africa, in the Nordics, and in Peru and also Central America. So Glenn, everybody knows from his long-standing commitment to the company. Again, I don't know, Glenn, whether you want to reintroduce yourself, but
Well, it's always interesting to see the 35 years. It's probably 45 now, but just means I'm old. But I've been around a long time, so I do know the industry well.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm very grateful to Glenn for staying on. He acted as interim CEO for the handover period. And it's a pleasure working with Glenn. As he says, he has significant experience within the resource sector and within corporate finance. So his network and his experience is very valuable to us, and he's a true asset to Landore. So in addition, we have non-executive directors, Hugh Salter, who's the chairman, and Helen Green, who is a financial, comes with a financial background as in a chartered accountant based in Guernsey. And then from my senior management team, there's Michelle Toomey, who's based in Thunder Bay, who runs the Canadian operation. So we are obviously very excited about Landore and the assets that it has within its portfolio. But our principal asset is obviously the Junior Lake project, and that holds a massive opportunity in itself. I mean, we have additional projects throughout Canada and the US, but the real gem in our crown is Junior Lake, and in particular the BAM project. Now, BAM, as it stands right now, has had a significant amount of work done on it. As you can see from this rather busy slide, there's a mineral resource estimate that's been done and was last updated in 2022, which gives us approximately 1.5 million ounces of gold. Most of that is in the indicated category, and there's approximately 40-odd% in the inferred category. This is a significant resource, and I think it was one of the first things that attracted me to the project. If you look at the map on the top right, you can see the extent of the BAM deposit. Now, this is only a very, very small section of a 31-kilometer long greenstone belt that extends in this area of northwest Ontario. And this is a real opportunity. Landore has staked the majority of the claims along this belt, and this belt is 0.5 kilometer to 1.5 kilometers wide in significant parts. And really, we're only just touching on the surface of the potential of this. As you probably know from the historic development of the company, we have two other deposits which are on the southern part of the greenstone belt. We have the B47 and the VW nickel, copper, cobalt, PGE deposits. But really, what I want to focus on here is the potential of the BAM gold deposit. We all know where we sit right now with the gold price being close to $2,500 an ounce. All the work that was done previously on the PEA and on let's say the workup is based on a much lower gold price. And at the 1,800 gold price, that was dollars per ounce gold price that the PEA was done, you can see the sensitivity matrix in the center. We're now on the extreme of that. So it's one of the reasons why I see huge potential in this project. In addition to that, you can see on the bottom left, you can see the pits that were designed around that 1,800 dollar an ounce gold shell. So in addition to that, that pit design will change significantly with a much higher gold price. Also on the bottom right, you can see it's quite small, but you can see the potential. So in the blue circles, there's the potential that was identified in the resource at depth. And then in the red circles is the potential that was identified to combine effectively the resource into one single pit. Now, this is a huge opportunity, and obviously with a very favorable gold price, this is I believe is very achievable. So I see huge technical opportunity here. The greenstone belt itself is obviously structurally controlled. There's been a lot of discussions around the potential along strike and at depth, so down dip. The structures are all near vertical, and I think by understanding the structural architecture and control on this deposit, there's a massive upside to this. So in order to achieve that upside, what I've tried to do is implement a work stream that's going to effectively identify opportunities. But I'm very conscious that we raised money at a discount effectively to the market. And the junior market is in a very tough place right now. So I want to conserve the shareholders' money as best I can and get the best results for that money. So I have the opportunity to review a lot of very good data that was accumulated by my predecessors. Now that means that I don't need to rush off and go and start spending money on, let's say, high risk exploration or resource definition. I really think that what would serve all the shareholders far better is that we have a very clear understanding of where the highest quality targets are in order to expand this resource. And so to do that, what I've done is I've engaged some additional skills within the team, one of which was a resource and structural geologist who will be looking at exactly that, looking at the link between the structural architecture and where the resource is sitting. Now, being a structurally controlled orogenic belt, the structures give accommodation space for where mineralization can occur. And it's very important to understand where these host sites are, and also when the mineralization has happened, whether it's been early, before the distortion and deformation associated with the structures, or whether it's late. Now, having a look at this, we have a fantastic baseline of geophysics that was done very, very well. And, we also have a very comprehensive drilling background. We've drilled over 60,000 meters, and that's given us a very, very good understanding of the lithology and the alteration. But what we need to understand a lot better is the structure that's controlling those hydrothermal fluids, which are effectively coming through that lithology and providing the mineralization. So in addition to appointing the structural resource geologist, I have commissioned a specialist structural group based in South Africa to come and assess the project. And I know everybody's going to ask immediately, why did you get a South African group to come and have a look at a Canadian orogenic belt? The simple answer is the South Africans and Australians are very, very good at understanding structural architecture on these orogenic belts. And it's absolutely critical in complex ore zones to understand what the controls are in mineralization, and rather than spending a lot of money drilling holes in the ground in order to try and effectively put in place a block model that'll define the mineralization. It's far better to do it the other way around, to have a very robust model of the geology, the structure, and the mineralization style before you start drilling holes. And I think, we're fortunate enough to have a significant database that the only element that was missing to date really is the structural understanding. And when I say missing, it wasn't neglected, it wasn't a focus of work to date. So in addition to that, as I say, there's significant potential along strike. And one of the best ways to try and understand that is by doing fairly low cost soil and channel sampling in that area. Now, the area to the west is fairly well
Ladies and gentlemen, I think we've just lost Alexander. What I'll do is I'll just refresh his browser and bring it back through. Do bear with us. Just reconnecting Alexander now. Alexander, we just lost you momentarily.
Okay.
You're back with us now. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay. So the area to the east of the BAM East deposit towards Toronto Lake has significant potential, and this has been worked on previously. Now the objective is really to extend that knowledge of that area. So the channel sampling and soil sampling will be focused on that area moving east along strike. So that will give us effectively a very definitive idea as to the potential. And obviously the advantage of doing channel sampling is that effectively it's sampling outcropping rocks, which is like effectively horizontal drill holes for a very low cost. So the other opportunity I really see here is that there is a significant amount of core that was drilled. And I think for any exploration company, your biggest asset is really your core repository and your core library. So as I say, there's over 60,000 meters of core that was drilled from BAM. Now, a significant portion of that was assayed, but there's also some very significant areas that weren't assayed. Now, there were reasons for the selective assay, and obviously cost was a significant factor. But now that we have a much better understanding of the ore body, I think it's prudent to go back and resample some areas in order to understand the geochemistry and the potential mineralization. Now, that is work that can be done at a fairly low cost. We obviously have the drilling, so we're effectively saving ourselves up to $400 per meter, not by not drilling or re-drilling holes. And the fact that we can use the resource model and the soon-to-be revised geological model to identify these areas of potential mineralization and target, let's say, missing sections. It'll give us a much better picture of where and how the mineralization stitches together. So I see this as a very effective and, let's say, a real value for money driver as far as expanding the resource and increasing the potential. So that's very important. And then all of this information is going to lead to a revision of as I say, of the geological and mineralization model. And I think that can be done very, very effectively. We last did the resource update in 2022, and since then we've gained a significant amount of knowledge on the ore body. So a lot of people have been asking, when are we going to start drilling? And as I say, I don't believe that drilling solves all your problems. Drilling is a very good way to spend a lot of money very quickly. And if you don't have a well-designed drill program, you can spend millions of dollars effectively working out where you made mistakes. And I think, the fact that this is not a greenfield exploration or resource drilling program, that we have a significant amount of drilling in a database that can form the background to future drilling, I think it's very prudent to conserve cash and target the drilling that's going to give you the best results for that money. So as a result of that, I don't see any real value in drilling a long strike, doing, let's say, step out drilling at the moment to try and expand the resource. I think it makes far more sense to look at the ore body that's been defined. And I think there are two key criteria that I'm looking to work on. One of which is confidence. So as I say, it's very important that the ore body stitches together and holds together. And in order to do that, I think the targeted drilling of high value sections. So on the left hand side, you can see one of the cross sections on the 2700 line. You can see that they're areas with very, let's say, very encouraging grades. But then there's sections where effectively the resource had to be interpolated from one drill hole to another. Now, if we can drill in those missing areas in order to confirm the occurrence of mineralization, it'll give us not only a much better confidence as far as mineralization goes, and it's very important to remember that in orogenic gold, they're very nuggety, and we know from experience that the BAM deposit is very nuggety. You have areas where you have very high grade, like bonanza grade, and then you can go almost adjacent to it and you can have very low or no mineralization. So that's why it's absolutely critical to understand what is driving this mineralization and how it stitches together. So my idea is very much to work on improving the confidence associated with the modeling, and I believe that'll really show results by moving the resource potentially from indicated to measured. At the moment, we don't have any of the resources sitting in measured, and obviously that is the highest confidence. And if we're moving forward from a PEA to PFS, then it's critical that we have as much of the resource sitting in the indicated and potentially measured categories as possible. Secondly to that, I think it's very important that we look at targeting grade. At the moment, the resource runs at just over a gram a ton. And although this is let's say, interesting, it's not where we should be. And I believe that there's significant potential for much higher grade. Now, if you look at similar deposits in Canada, on the organic belts, to the southeast, Simmons, etc., the grades are generally much higher. A lot of those mines are underground mines. I believe that the position of the BAM mineralization means that we're potentially looking at a system that pinches and swells both laterally and at depth. So I'd see there's huge potential at fairly shallow depths, but then similarly, again, you can see on the left-hand side, there's significant potential at depth. And this was identified by Cube when they did the resource estimate. So most importantly, as I say, I see confidence level being important. I see grade being very important. And then lastly, I do believe that we'll be able to add ounces to this resource. But I think primarily chasing ounces just for the sake of ounces is somewhat self-defeating. I think at 1.5 million ounces, I think that this is a very attractive ore body as it sits right now. I think what's more important is that we get the confidence up and we get the grade up. So, and that concludes our corporate presentation for now. And thank you very much.
Alexander, Glenn, thank you very much for your presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, please do continue to submit your questions just by using the Q&A tab, which is situated on the top right-hand corner of your screen. But just while the company take a few moments through the questions that have been submitted today, I'd like to remind you that the recording of this presentation, along with a copy of the slides and the published Q&A, can be accessed via your investor dashboard. As you can see, we have received a number of questions throughout today's presentation. And Alexander, if I could just hand back to you just to chair the Q&A, that'd be great. And then I'll pick up from you at the end.
Perfect. Thank you very much. So, first question. So, what attracted you and Moda Angel Lucid Global Mining to invest in Landore, and how are things going as far as being the new CEO? So, I could hardly say I'm the new CEO anymore. I feel like I've had my 100 days, like the new president. So I think my honeymoon period is very much over. I have to say, as I said previously, the Landore portfolio of projects is fantastic. I take my hat off to Bill Humphries and my predecessors for putting together such an attractive portfolio of projects. I mean, we've only spoken about BAM to date, but I have to say that Lazard is another project that is very interesting to me. I think it has potential as a base and precious metal deposit. It's also, again, in Quebec, which is a very mining-friendly jurisdiction. I think the Nevada projects have huge potential, but obviously they're greenstone, so they would need significant investment to advance them. But the absolute crown crown jewel is BAM as I see it right now. I see the junior mining markets at the moment are giving very little value to fantastic deposits, and I think that the Landore share price has been unfairly punished for, let's say, lack of progress towards developing the project, and I don't think that that's, let's say, a fair reflection of where we sit right now. I think that the work that's been done has been done very, very well. I have no qualms with the technical work. I do think that a number of, let's say, corporate activities happened, which are, let's say, reflective of market conditions, and I saw that as a significant opportunity. So when I took the project to the board at Luso Global Mining, I think, kind of anything that has a defined ore body of the size and, let's say, potential of BAM, the potential valuation should be multiples of what it is right now. So I saw that as a huge potential, and I was delighted to come on board as CEO. And as I say, I have a strong technical background, and I really did see it as an opportunity to, let's say, put my skills to work and really develop this as best I can. So yeah, I'm 100% committed to this, and I think it's an amazing opportunity. So I think I've covered that. Question number 2, as well as yourselves, as LGM, I imagine, Eric Sprott and Rick Rule have been major investors in the recent fundraise. How significant do you see this to the company, and do you envisage them supporting Landore as it moves towards new drilling upgrade program of works? Absolutely. I mean, anybody who's in junior mining, and particularly in Canada, knows that Eric Sprott and Rick Rule are the absolute legends in the sector. So to have their support is absolutely phenomenal. Eric had been involved in Landore for some time, but his vote of confidence when we did the capital raise was absolutely significant. So, well, very significant to us. So the ability to take to the market with confidence of 2 significant North American investors in the junior space who have thousands of opportunities cross their desk every year, and they've selected Landore, is immense. So, I feel privileged to be in that company. And as I say, the fact that Eric has been a long-term supporter of Landore and elected to subscribe, again, it's a fantastic vote of or endorsement of what we're doing here. And obviously, Rick Rule is a fantastic promoter. Everybody knows of Rule Media. The ability to be able to engage with Rick and his team on Landore again is very, very significant, because the most important thing or task I see really is to spread the message of what a fantastic opportunity Landore actually presents to its shareholders. At the moment, we have a very loyal shareholding base, but what I would really like to do is expand that shareholding base and really, really show what this opportunity is and deliver on its potential. Glenn, I don't know if you wanted to add anything.
Yeah, no, just reiterate what you said with the confidence in the project, that bringing those 2 investors in, which also came, they came about through Motor Angel and also SCP Resource Finance, which is the old Sprott Capital, and through the connections between Angel, Sprott Capital, and Eric and Rick themselves. That's how the investment came about. And obviously, I was in the hot seat from January, after the Canada disaster. So if you reflect back to where we were at in January, with cash getting low, management gone, retail share register, and where we're at now, it's I think it's enormous kudos for the company.
Yeah, absolutely. Question number 3. So Rick Rule's interview for mining.com on the 19th of July, he said over 2/3 of today's junior miners are essentially worthless. the problem is the market has trouble spotting the gems with the high quality assets, which often end up trading at similar valuations at the 85% of 85% of companies that are unviable at any price. Rule says there is a subset of 10 to 15% of issuers in the junior sector that are very viable companies and suffer the same valuations as the lame, the halt, and the blind. So again, I think that's very true, and the endorsement we received from him for our support is fantastic. So the question is, you say in the RNS that the team have embarked upon a sampling and technical review of the project. Can you explain what your rationale for this was? So again, just quickly, I think I elaborated on this during the corporate presentation, but just to reaffirm, we obviously raised best part of £3.7 million. There was some outstanding debt within the company, which we had to settle, which was important. But what I didn't want to do is rush off and burn through our money so that we then were forced to raise money again at a low share price. What I think is absolutely critical is that we slowed things down a little bit and we had a look at what we have. And as I say, I think we have a fantastic data set that has been accumulated over the best part of 20 years for this part of Northwest Ontario. I think it's very important to sometimes slow down and look at the data that's collected, because it's very often far too attractive to just rush out and accumulate data without actually reviewing it or analyzing it properly. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily what happened, but obviously as a project matures, your understanding of the kinematics, of the mechanics within that change, and they evolve. And I think it's very important to just review where you stand every now and again. From my experience on project acquisition was whenever we did a project acquisition, we would go and we would effectively do a complete technical review of all the work that had been previously done. That would include relogging all of the core and reassessing the resource model. It doesn't mean that you think that you're smarter than everybody else. It just means that it's a fantastic way to come in with a fresh perspective and review the work that's been done previously, because nobody knows everything. You know, it's important that people work in a collaborative way on these things. So, you know, it's the best value for money that I think shareholders can get is that we review the work that's been done and the money that's been already spent. We don't just rush out and go and pay school fees on redoing and making the same mistakes over and over again. So I think that was very much my rationale for doing that. So question B, the RNS spoke about a review of historical core. Are there plans to reassay any cores? Yes, absolutely. So there was significant sections of core that weren't assayed. And the reason for that was that the assays were targeting, let's say, pathfinder mineralization. They were targeting visible gold intersections. And obviously there were effective defined lithologies, which were, let's say, more conducive to hosting the gold than others. Now, BAM is not necessarily a resource that is dispersed within all the lithologies. It definitely controls on where the mineralization is. So that's one of the reasons why I'm going to review again where the previous samples were taken. It was on, obviously on structures, on veins, on lithologies, but there is a degree of disseminated mineralization in some of the let's say the country rock outside of the structural zones, and I think that's something and that's a real opportunity that we can have a look at. So as I say, the opportunity to sample core that's already been drilled is a huge saving to the exploration and the resource program. And can you speak about what there is you're seeing? Okay, I think I've covered that. The RNS described how the technical review had identified new areas of interest and high value drill targets within the existing ore. Can you talk more about this? Yes, very simply, I'll just move back to the slide. So 2 points here. So on the previous work by Core, they identified significant areas of, let's say, potential mineralization at depth, and also areas that needed infill drilling within the defined resource body. Now, there were some reasons why the areas between the BAM East and BAM West proposed pits hadn't been drilled. Some of those were physical constraints on access, and those remain problematic. The most significant being that there is a large body of water that restricts access to that drilling. And obviously, there are alternative ways to drill it, which would be very shallow step back holes, which are very expensive to do. So that's one of the reasons why I'm having a look at opportunities. The ideal scenario would be in winter when the water bodies freeze, you can then use them as a platform for drilling. However, the winters in Ontario have been very mild for the last couple of years, and they've not been able to do that. So that's let's say the reason why that is currently an outstanding issue. Now, the drilling at depth, similarly, we're looking at vertical structures here within the ore body. To drill at depths beyond 200, 250 meters vertical depth, you have to drill very deep holes. And again, those are very expensive. You're drilling significant quantities of material, which are effectively just waste. Now, I'm looking at potential ways to resolve that by pre-collaring holes, for example, or using existing holes and then basically putting directional drilling in. Now, this is, I think, the best way we can utilize and be conservative with the cash that we have. So that's obviously work in progress, and that's a discussion that's ongoing. Part C, you mentioned the potential of underground operations to optimize value at BAM. Can you talk more about this and what you have seen in the geology that this model that interests us? So again, I'm not going to spend too much more time speaking about that, but obviously Cube, when they did the mineral resource estimate, identified significant shoots that continued at depth. Now, again, during the block model, well, the block models that they produced, they created these ore shells. And if you see on the left slide, on the left-hand side, you can see that there's significant ore that's been identified as high-grade ore extending to depths. Now, obviously, one of the things that we want to try and do is target that, because if we can put that high-grade ore into the resource model, it'll significantly improve not only our grade, but also obviously the size of the resource. The other problem is obviously all of that material would have been in the lowest confidence category because it's effectively speculative. So, and the nuggety effect as well is another major issue to consider here. So that's why one of the reasons I wanted to look at the structure is to identify what are the controls on this mineralization. Are these pinch and swell? Do they effectively get truncated at depth? Are they open at depth? You know, again, it's absolutely critical that you understand what you're targeting. You don't just blindly drill holes in the ground hoping for the best. So I think I covered that question. Landore has a 1.5 million ounces of gold at BAM at 1 gram a ton. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think grade versus ounces? What will inspire the market to buy Landore? I think a 1.5 million ounce resource is definitely very attractive. I don't think that's up for debate. I think the potential issue is the grade. And as I say, I think the grade is something that can be resolved, I think, by understanding the mineralization a lot better and effectively moving the levels of confidence, we will improve the grade. So I think that the drill program, the focus drill program with very specifically targeted holes will give us what we need and move the grade to something that is more attractive for the market. Because as I say, Northwest Ontario doesn't need another 1.5 million ounce, 1 gram a ton gold mine. What it needs is 2 million ounces or 1.5 million ounces at 3 or 4 grams a ton. That will get people excited, and especially at the gold price that it is today. And I think that BAM has all the potential to do that. I think the gold price as it is now changes the economics on the project, but I think if we're going to realize the true potential of this ore body, there's only one way to do it, and that's to understand the mineralization better and to basically put that grade into the resource. Question 5. It is appreciated that as yet you will most likely not be able to commit fully to the 4 to 5 million ounce potential string of pearls theory at Junior Lake previously outlined to shareholders. However, now that the new tech team has had further time on the ground, you still consider the purely BAM potential to be as was initially thought by you, or based on the wording of the RNS potentially better? Absolutely. I think that there's significant potential along strike, and these 31 kilometers. I don't think that the BAM East and BAM West pits as they're defined right now are going to be the end all and be all of the BAM story. I think that there's significant potential, to the east, and as you move to the west towards Limon, the lithology changes, the structural complexity changes. You have a BIF instead of the greenstone. So I think that that's a significant discussion as well about what the mineralization potential is there. I think that BAM, when it comes into production, will be a series of pits along strike, and it'll, in all likelihood, be a spoke and hub type operation. And whether that's all open pit or whether there's open pit with underground, I think that the work still needs to be done in order to prove that. But I absolutely believe that along strike you have large-scale pinch and swell structures. You have structures that have given accommodation areas to mineralizations, to these hydrothermal fluids to flow up. And I think that is absolutely critical with these gold systems. You need the pathways, the plumbing pathways for the fluids to interact with let's say the host lithologies in order to get the deposition. So I do see the string of pearls potential right from the start. I saw that. Question 6. There seems to be many assets and properties in the Landore portfolio. Is there a plan to address this and to potentially get value from these? Glenn, I don't know if you want to talk about that.
I'm conscious of the time as well, so I'll keep my answer fairly short. Clearly, we've got surplus assets. We're not getting any value in the market for them. Alex and his team are carrying out a technical review of those assets. So we'll definitely look at spinning them out or JVing or an outright sale over the coming months, as we've done with Miminiska and the lithium prospects in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. As I say, it would be lovely to develop all the projects, but we need to cut our cloth according to our budget. And I think as we said, we are very open to the idea of joint ventures or retaining some value in these projects, but our absolute priority is BAM at the moment. Okay. There's been investor concern at the past AGM about the erroneous costs of running Landore. Has the company now been able to review and do something about this?
Yeah, that's one for me. Good news on that front. And again, quickly, we have given notice to Safaris terminating the agreement with them. I have to say they've done an excellent job, but just too expensive, for a junior company like us. So that's been terminated. We've got a firm in London, small boutique, someone, the principal I've known for 30 odd years, and they specialize in junior resource companies, and they'll be doing all of our accounting, secretarial work, probably starting the first week of October. So it's just about to happen. The costs are significantly less, I'd say in the region of 70% less than what we've been paying. So So it's taken a while, but it's a good outcome.
Okay. I think I'll just do these last two questions quickly.
Yeah.
There's been talk about returning to the idea of the TSX listing. Are there any plans to reenact this? And what benefit would this be likely bring to Landore shareholders?
Yeah.
You want to start?
Yeah. Just quickly, where obviously we had the failed attempt to complete, not complete, but to do the listing on the TSX, which is still sitting there. We can still complete in the future. The bottom line is we still need and want a presence in Canada, and the original reasons for wanting to go there are still valid. It's on our top of the to-do list. We'll get it done. Can't say too much in what form it's going to be, but the project's in Ontario, the market's there, and obviously with Rick Rule and Eric Sprott being Canadian and wanting their ongoing support, that's an important factor as well. So I expect we'll have news by the end of October, and it'll be very positive.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. I mean, I don't think that we get full value for having a gold project in Northwest Ontario on the London markets. Unfortunately, I think we would get far better value on the TSXV. I don't think that listing will, let's say, will just open the money bags. I think that the confidence that we have from Eric Sprott and Rick Rule, I think is obviously a massive endorsement. But I think that there's work that we need to do to promote the company within Canada. But I do believe that as Glenn says, that the company belongs on the TSX. I think it makes a lot of sense. So we're working on possible options on that front still. So I'm very conscious that we're basically out of time. I'm very aware that there are a lot of questions that I haven't got to either. So
Alex, can I just jump in and just quickly say a few words about the promotion, which has obviously always been important to shareholders. It's still, as Alex said, it's still very, very challenging in the junior sector. There seems to be some positive views about the near future. None of us have got crystal balls. Hopefully it'll happen. It'll certainly help us if we get a bit of a lift up from the market. But as some of you would know, we've appointed Buchanan's Communications in London, a serious communications firm who have set up today's Q&A. We'll be doing more of that with other firms as well. We're in advanced discussions with a major broker in London that would provide research coverage and also introduce institutional retail investors. The other important element is SCP Resource Finance that have helped us put the restructuring together, that are going to provide research and are right behind us. So we just want to tell everyone we'll do everything within our power to increase the promotion. We're really a serious company now with the share register that we've got. And I think the bottom line is we're going to be extremely well placed when hopefully the market does improve with our new management team and the share register as it is, and the excellent project that we've got. So we've got all the elements there to make it very, very successful. So there'll be more Q&As, more research coverage, and ongoing promotion.
Yeah.
Perfect. I might just jump in there, Alexander and Glenn, and thank you very much for answering those questions from investors. Of course, the company can review all the questions submitted today and will publish those responses on the Investor Meet Company platform. Just before redirecting investors, provide you with their feedback, and it's particularly important to you both. Alexander, could I just ask you for a few closing comments?
Yeah, thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody giving their time today, and I am very conscious that there are a significant number of questions that we haven't got around to. I will endeavour to work my way through those questions, and we'll figure out a platform or a way to get those responses published. But I can only again repeat my enthusiasm for this project. As I say, Mode Angel and through Lucer Global Mining, Eric Sprott, Rick Rule, and a number of other long-term investors have endorsed let's say, the value that this project offers. I, from a technical point of view, see it as a huge potential. I think that this is a project that is going to be on the world stage. I think that this is something that is a great opportunity. We're effectively discovering a new gold region within Canada, and I think that this is a significant discovery that is only at the tip of the iceberg. So thank you very much, everybody.
Alexander, Glenn, thank you once
Thank
again for
you.
updating investors today. Could I please ask investors not to close this session, as you'll now be automatically redirected to provide your feedback in order that the management team can better understand your views and expectations. This will only take a few moments to complete, but I'm sure will be greatly valued by the company. On behalf of the management team of Landore Resources Limited, we'd like to thank you for attending today's presentation, and good morning to you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.